Hi, everybody. I just wanted to make sure that you understand that we're still staying in order of everything we're doing. I have about a third of the classes outline from the white folder, which means they're on time. Some of you are still way back here in the black folder. Some people came late to class, whatever the reason. Because our unit is on the French Revolution and sort of the beginning of democracy, I wanted to make sure that you start here. You have to have a good idea of why the revolution started. We're starting with all of this, which leads to our essay that we're writing. And the essay is going to be the assessment part, the test. This is all, a lot of this is learning. Some of it was like intermediate assessments, but you want to make sure, like, you have to be able to restate why it happened in the essay that we write down here. So again, you're going to want to go back here to get some of this information for what we are filling out. Even at the very end of this green page in the white folder, when we write our introduction, I'm on Tori's here. Let me see. Actually, I didn't want to have this up there. That's okay. But anyway, you need to make sure you have a really good introduction for why it happened. And a lot of that, you're going to have to go back to look at some of this information. Then we went through and we collected all of this information, right? So why people revolt. This was basically, looking at, what inspired them, the enlightened thinkers, the slideshow that I showed you of all the philosophers, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, John Locke saying that, if the leader doesn't work for you, then you have the power to replace them. And revolt if needed. So he advocates for that. He's a strong influencer of that. So is Voltaire. So you're going to have to pull some of these enlightened philosophers are, because the question in this document, the green document, again, that you're answering is, why did it happen? You're using all of the information that we have from up here. But then last week, you were to go through this handout and basically explain each document. You went through first just answering the questions under each document, but then on the chart, you were supposed to give specific examples. So problems that the peasants faced, this person picked all these three, document 1, document 2, and they found the quotes to go specifically with that, right? It said that the laws are crushing us. That's very good evidence that they are facing problems. So I wanted to see the document specific. I like how it's separated here. It's much better. So from document 3, he could answer something about this. Riots and disturbances are happening all over the country, right? So short-term effect is that. Document 8, he could see that people believed that men are born free and equal in rights. So anything that answers these questions, you were supposed to find as many documents as you can. And now here's why. When you go down to the bottom, you were supposed to basically put in your notes that you would put body paragraph 1. Well, actually, let me start with the introduction. There's some, problems with this, but don't worry about that. This one's very well done. He has some introductions about why the revolution happened here. And again, yours will look very different. There's like 100 causes to the French Revolution. So I'll be very suspicious if people put in exactly what this person has. So here are the 3 reasons that he came up with. Okay, number 1, the difference between I think what he's wanting to say is the difference between the third estate and the first 2 estates. The third estate had it very unfair. They had no rights. They were being overtaxed. And then the second reason are the influences of the Enlightenment. Third one is the influence of the American Revolution. And so for each one of those, he has to think, okay, what documents can I use to prove it? Okay, because this is the argument. Everybody's got an argument. An argument is a claim or a thesis. So you want the thesis to go at the end of your introduction. So when he starts typing now into his essay, he's going to put these all into full sentences and explain clearly in a paragraph. This is going to become his first paragraph. Okay, now for every single, this is his thesis, which means this is what his paragraph is going to be about. By the way, a couple things before you write, always capitalize the first word of any nationality, language, or country. So every time you use the word French or France, capitalize it. Same with the Enlightenment, because it is a big historical event. Just like World War I is capitalized, Enlightenment is capitalized. So make sure to capitalize that. Same with American Revolution, capital letters. So for big events or nationalities, capitalize the word, but nothing else. So body paragraph 1 should all be about this first thing that he said is important. Now he's going to go into depth, okay? And notice he picked the document here. He's going to have to name this. He's going to say, in the document called, and you're going to have to go up. When you write into full sentences, you can't just call it Doc 3. You want to say, in document 7 from a list of complaints from the king, right? We can see that, quote, this happened, and then you want to explain it. So basically what's going to happen now is, so let's just skip quickly to, let's look at the Enlightenment. So he's saying the Enlightenment was a big reason why these people felt like they had all these freedoms to speak out against somebody, freedom to practice their own religion, like Voltaire was saying. So that's going to be his body paragraph 2. So each part of your thesis is going to become a paragraph. So this would be his body paragraph 2, right? This was body paragraph 1. He's going to spend a lot of time now breaking that down here. And he's going to explain. He's going to use the document quotes, because you have to have some quotes in here. For every paragraph, I should see at least a document and a quote. So he wants to explain it. So you want to see that he wants to say something in here. According to this quote, we can see that people couldn't even afford bread, right? Which is going to make them hungry and starving. And he does say that here. So he'll connect that. And then paragraph 2, the influences of the Enlightenment, right? Again, you want to make sure that these are all going to become separate sentences. Your paragraphs are going to be very clear. You have to make sure that you are doing exactly what I laid out, in here. Some of you may have deleted all of this part at the end here, but I wanted to just show you real quick. At the very bottom, he had deleted his, so I just wanted to pull it in here. You want to make sure that you are doing this. You have, for every single paragraph, you have to have a summary sentence. So if this is his paragraph about, maybe some people had like why the king was so weak, that was why this revolution happened. And that's fine, that's good. But you have to explain now everything about why the king was weak. You have to say everything you know from the evidence in the book and the documents. You want a summary sentence. You can just say, it was unfortunate that King Louis was so weak during a time when so many people are demanding change. Reform is a really good word to use. Everybody wants reform. If the king would have made just some reforms for the people, maybe they would have been happier, right? Elaborate, give descriptions. In what ways could he have reformed it? What other ways was he weak? He was indecisive. Why? Give some sentences that explain it. And then you need to give evidence. And this is why you have that chart above on this document, right? So that's why you were to fill in this whole document, was because now you need to go through and explain. So whatever your reason is, okay, for your 3 reasons, you need to make sure you're breaking them all apart, okay? So if you had gone in order and you're doing this all exactly like I said, then this part, writing out the essay, will be easy because you already have the outline here. But you want to answer these in full sentences so that you can actually transpose it into your conclusion, right? You want to actually have a sentence that says, this was an influential event to democracy, challenging power, absolute power, because, and explain it. So if you just, step 1, this is where everybody should be as of now, is you should have given a very detailed outline. And if you answered all this and you have a detailed outline, especially this part, What are your 3 reasons why the French Revolution happened, right? Then you need to make sure you explain it carefully. You could take a couple sentences to explain this, by the way. A thesis doesn't need to be one sentence. And then you're going to go to your next paragraph. And remember, now you're breaking it down. Take reason A. Whatever your reason A is, that is the beginning of your first paragraph. And try to make a nice summary sentence to start with. Don't go into detail. Just restate, this one part in a full sentence. Maybe it was that France was in debt. Maybe it was actually King Louis XIV's fault, right? His grandpa for having spent all of the money on Versailles and building up his palace away from the city. So he was also sort of out of touch with everybody in the city. So, that could be reason number 1. And if that's what your reason number 1 is, just go back and give evidence. How much money was being spent on the palace, right? Why were other ways that he was out of touch with what people wanted? So anyway, now's your time to make sure you put everything in your outline into full sentences and actually write that essay. You have 2 days to do it. So make sure you're being careful about grammar. If you have anything underlined like I do, make sure you click it and it makes sense. Don't just click it just because it says to click it. Read it. What long-term causes had been building up? That makes sense, right? You want to reread it. And again, capitalize main events. Make sure everything is really good. Expand. I'm looking for like really deep, broad paragraphs here. Okay, this is kind of like a final exam. Good luck. Write well. Bye.